What are some of the crazy rich person things that you've done?
Crazy rich person things.
I saw
I came up and created a carpool table. I mean, not much. I don't do crazy
not
things.
much. I saw you in a video. You got stuck in the Bahamas because of bad weather, and so you flew cigarettes in a private jet to you. Like
Well, that's cigarettes. It was cigarettes, which are very important. It was tequila, which is very important to my wife.
Okay.
And see, the plane also had to get my kids back to school, which I wasn't ready to go back, but they had to go back to school for spring break. So the plane had a lot of missions. It brought the camera guy out there. It brought my barber out there because I needed a haircut. It brought cigarettes and necessities we needed. It brought a couple of friends I had that were coming on a boat because my kids are getting off the boat. I mean, I was a traffic management coordinator in the United States Army. You know that. I know how to coordinate things. It's all about managing, coordinating things, making shit happen without wasting money or time.
Okay, I was under the impression that you literally just flew cigarettes and the barber.
I flew them in because, all right, it made sense. There was a seat on the plane. The plane lands, okay? He gets off the plane. He comes to my boat. He gives me a haircut. He gets with my kids back on the plane. He gives my son a haircut while he's on the plane going home. I like time management. I love to manage my time efficiently because, you're getting done. And saving time can be saving money.
What is the cost of owning a plane?
Well, everybody has their own way of owning them. Do I own it outright? I don't have a loan on it, but I have partners. So me and a couple of guys that I know really well, I trust, we share the cost of the plane. You can buy planes anywhere from a couple of million up to, who the fuck knows, 50 million or whatever, Ours is probably worth, I don't know, a few million. Okay? It's good enough for what I use. I used to have 2 planes. I got rid of one because I never used it. So, I got one plane. I got a couple of partners. We're into it if the plane's today probably worth, I don't know, a few million, then we're into it for, say, $750 a piece or $1 million a piece. And, we split the expenses and we pay for what you use. If I'm going to fly somewhere, I got to pay for the gas. I got to pay for the pilot.
How expensive is the gas and pilot?
I mean, the gas is going to run about, if I go to Fort Lauderdale and back, that's about 500 miles. That's going to cost me $2,500. So what's that come out to be? About $5 a mile? Anyway, so whatever, that's what it is. That's typically what it costs. And it's about an hour. Oh, wait, it's $2,500 an hour with gas and pilot. Well, no, not an hour because pilot you got for all day. You can use a pilot for up to 12 or 14 hours a day. But after that, you got to give them a break.
For how long? 12 hours or 24 hours? 8 hours?
Yeah, I think so. Or something. But anyway.
Are there any safety issues of having your own plane? I hear just the standards are a bit low.
They're all we have a management company that manages the plane. They meet all the requirements to make sure you get all the inspections, and they're checking everything. And the pilots are fabulous. They're brilliant. And my plane only takes one pilot, my jet. So, that keeps the cost down too a lot, but hopefully they're all young guys, so hopefully they're in good shape.
We're going to go on to some rapid fire questions, if you're ready. Perfect.
Yeah.
So, what's the most ridiculous thing you've ever bought that you absolutely love?
Probably my statues, like the pelican out there. There's a pelican out there that looks over the beach, and there's an eagle.
How much were those?
I don't know. Somewhere between more than 5, less than 10. Batmobiles, cars.
Yeah, Batmobile is definitely.
I had a lot of them. I had the ones from the movies with the wings.
Yeah.
I had the one when it shot fire out the back. I had the machine that came up and shot. You get in these little kicks, but I made money on this stuff too.
Yeah.
Creating this thing. I've done crazy things, mostly cars.
What's one thing you refuse to spend money on no matter how rich you are?
Refuse to spend money on air. I hate that when you go to a gas station and now you got to put your card in. You don't pay for air.
I thought it's free if you just go and ask for it.
It's in California.
No, but now they got machines on every gas station.
Yeah, I always
You
just
can
go and
even
walk
go
in.
in.
Wawa.
That might be a California thing, though.
I just walk in and ask, hey, could you turn on the air? Sure.
No,
and
they got
don't
machines
care.
normally at gas stations, and now you got to pay for them.
Right there, yeah, there's always
It's a fucking
quarters.
compressor in the ground. Ain't
Yeah,
using
but
much power.
I
Give
walk
us some
in.
kind of convenience for ripping us off on the gas.
I always walk in and just ask, and the guy's like, "All right," clicks the button, and turns on.
Not here. It's air. You got to pay for air.
Which do you enjoy more, the chase and negotiation and structuring of a really good deal, or the moment you close?
Finding the deal. Once you find a deal, everything else is programmatic. Programmatic, whatever the word is.
So it's the
Once you find that deal, and you know you got that deal, everything else, you get it. You close the deal, you got the money, you close the deal, you fix it up, and then you can start making moves. But finding the deal is the key to real estate. Everything else is easy. You can hire somebody to fix shit. You can hire somebody to, to manage shit. You can, finding that deal with value add components.
in one sentence, what is one piece of advice that you would love to give to your 20-year-old self?
Focus on making money and not, having a good time, worrying about having a good time. I mean, that's the biggest problem that 20-year-olds do. They're just, and it's natural. It's human nature, I guess. You can have a much better time when you're 30 and you're rich. Okay? Spend your 20 to 30 years, 20 to 30, 10 years doing everything you possibly can to get ahead so you won't have to work so hard when you're 30. And then when you're 40, you'll be even better. And when you're 50, you'll be even better. I mean, really put the time in because you got the most energy when you're 20 years old. I worked, I partied, but when I first started, when I was 20, I know damn well I worked constantly from the time I got up, except the weekends you party. I was working probably 16, 18-hour days.
And you would have wanted to work on the weekends to add that time.
I did work on the weekends, and I, really started getting hooked on, knowing, hey, I got to get this shit done because the quicker I get it done, the quicker I can make that money. So, but partying was always the biggest problem. When I was chasing, when you chase, out dating and, all that shit and going out and clubs and drinking.
What do you feel? How do you feel about that, Jack?
It's really a waste of time. You can do a little. You can do it in moderation, but you can't do a lot of it. And you can't get hooked up on what your friends are always doing and trying to keep up with your friends. Who's having money in the bank, I'm telling you, that'll protect you for the rest of your life and lead to a great life.
I mean, I don't party and go out that much. It's a pretty.
But I'm talking like pedal to the metal, like head down 10 years, 20s.
I disagree. I think 10 years is a really big sacrifice. I think if you're you should do everything within reason. So if you know the general idea of the life that you want to live when you're 30, when you're 40, when you're 50, when you're 60, add on 30%, maybe 40% and shoot for that.
Oh, I'd say double it.
It's like I got friends, people I'm friendly with, and they say, oh, yeah, when I was 20, I was backpacking and traveling the world and, and all that great experience and sleeping in hostels and, they claim it was a great time. But today, they're broke. If I want to go travel to all the places you were backpacking to and all that, I'm going to get on a plane, I'm going to stay in a nice hotel, and I'm really going to enjoy the place and enjoy the experience. You should have been working when you were 20 years old, not sleeping in the street and traveling all around. I mean, and now they cry to me how broke they are. Well, you're broke because you controlled your life. Okay, and
well, in fairness, we hear a lot of the other side of the token as well. So a lot of other people say, I wish that I enjoyed my 20s a little bit more. Gary Vee, actually, we asked him well, if you could go back in time, what would you have done? And he's like, I just wish that I would have let myself enjoy my life a little bit during the 20s.
Yeah,
so it's hard to say.
Then he might not be enjoying as much now.
True. Yeah. But then again, your body
he might not have what he has now to help if he has kids. I don't even know what you're talking about, but, listen, I don't know. I think you got to earn. You earn and you make shit happen, then you enjoy life. That's the way I think it should be.
I agree, but I made
my mistakes. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I don't think it's zero, on or off, like a light
switch. You could do a little.
You find a balance. Yeah.
Moderation. Everything is good in moderation. Drinking is fine. Eating is fine. Traveling is fine. Everything, partying, whatever, in moderation. But the main focus of your life has to be moving ahead because the clock's ticking. And one day, you're not going to be able to do it. Time is up, clock's ticked, and you're done. Or you're too old to do. So time is so valuable. People don't appreciate the value of time. That's the biggest problem that people don't realize, because by the time you know it, you're going to be 30 and you're going to say, oh, I still ain't got my shit together. Or I don't have money in the bank, and I don't have, where I really wish I was at.
I would agree with that. I think it's the main focus that you should have in
I'm
your
not saying you
20s.
should never go out to a restaurant. You should never go out on a date. But you do it within, you have a little entertainment in your life. Yes, it's important. You're human. But you can't do too much.
Yeah, I think I sound more like a contrarian than I actually am, because I agree it should be the main focus. It just shouldn't be the only focus.
Everything is right in moderation. Everything is right in the proper place. You have a proper time set aside to focus on growth. You have a certain time where you have to maintain your responsibilities. You have a certain time where you spend with your kids. You have to allocate your time accordingly and logically, but growth has to be a driving, most important thing. You never sacrifice the time you need to spend growing and pushing to get ahead on stupid shit that ain't going to do for you, because the next day, oh, wow, I went to a concert. Big deal. You had a good time at a concert. How's it going to help you tomorrow when your ass is broken? You spent all the money on a concert. I mean, you got to think logically and sensibly. And hopefully one day you will.
I hope so too.